I was gonna talk about the religion part that he was mentioning. He was talking about drugs and how, it's like opium, they're painkillers, and religion is another one. And I grew up in the church. My family was Christian. And I remember that I always tried so hard to just kind of like really get in there and like try to be the same as people who I would see next to me that were like crying and really devoted to it and whatever else. But it it felt, sometimes it felt good for a moment. It was only always only on Sundays when we would go to church. And then the rest of the week is like I didn't really know what to do with myself. Like I wasn't learning anything that was actually helping me through life, because it was all, just God has it and you don't have to do anything, and it's a way to like release, to be able to just like release maybe stress, but that stress doesn't disappear. You're gonna go back to it, and you're not able to like understand yourself in it. So I definitely, I thought it was really interesting how he compared it to a painkiller, because thinking back, that's pretty much exactly what it did for me. It was a temporary painkiller, but it wasn't a way for me to get to understand and see myself like meditation does. It was short. The nice feeling was very short. I don't know if you guys have had a similar experience with religion.
I was raised Catholic, so we would go to Catholic church on Sundays, but not consistently. And it was, these white priests, and it just didn't. Me walking into this space, I just didn't feel right. I'm like, who are we praying? Like, who are we praying to? This doesn't even feel like it's resonating with my own, like my being. You know what I mean? Even the songs. And I would sit there and I'm like, as a teenager or even younger than that, I would just be like, I would have this like out of body experience as a young, like, what's happening here? What are we doing? Why am I taking this little piece of bread and like drinking wine from the same chalice as all these strangers? Like, it was very strange to me, right? And so but when we would go home, where I would actually connect more, even though it feels like it was very dogmatic, was my mother. We would pray in the morning and pray at night before to go to bed. We would pray as a family. So like we would go to my mom's room, kneel or like over her bed as she would like, pick a psalm, pick something from the Bible, read it, and then give her interpretation of it. And then we would like say one of the psalms, memorize it, and like say it together, and then go to bed. So that was like, now that I think about it, it was something that connected me to my family and connected me to something other than me. But it felt like it was being forced rather than allowing for me to come to it. So like for you, like feeling that you had some space of like calmness going to church, I had the opposite. I was like, this is not my opium. This just adds to confusion in my life coming here, and also added to like how different I was, because the church was filled with like people that didn't look like us. You get what I'm saying? So it was like, we're in a different space. We're praying to whatever, whomever in this space that I'm looking at this image that like if we're one, it didn't resonate with me at all. So it was like the opposite. So for me, spirituality, and I can see spirituality being like opium for a lot of people, like going to spirituality and just like good vibes only. I'm going to just think about all the good things and not resonate with the stress that I'm experiencing, like where this is coming from, and really looking within. So I think it depends on the person, like how they go about, if it's religion, if it's spirituality, if it's whatever, like how they go about it, if they're looking to have a dependency on it, like as an external, like I'm going to do this to solve all my problems, and then not work within myself of like, okay, the changes actually have to, like, I can be in a spiritual practice, feel at bliss, right, and feel relaxed, but then talking to like a partner in some way, or being like not actually doing the work. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like not actually taking the actions to move forward to whatever it is. You know what I mean? I think I'm rambling, but it's I think I'm
No. It makes
getting
sense.
to some point.
It makes
Mhm.
sense. And also, like, I feel like religion is like has been, like we talked about in the last episode chapter. Now it's becoming a thing.
That was a Freudian slip. Mhm.
Exactly. In the last chapter, we were talking about like how not to could become a mind, and being consciousness rather than the mind. And I feel like that has happened to like, or what we call religion today, that is what has happened to like spirituality, that it was taken into the mind and became such like a concept, and like God, like this thing that is somewhere else than and not here within me, something like that, like the separation really. And I feel like that is what like the religion today is. It's like a form of a consciousness in the same way as everything else that man has made, like up to today, like in modern society. I feel like it's the part of like the ego. But I think that religion from the beginning, from source, has come from spirituality, has come from something very pure. And um obviously, because they're all based on people's experiences. I mean, like Buddhism is based on Buddha's experience, like his awakening, and how he tried to explain what that meant, but then explaining it to people that weren't conscious, and they made it into something which is it is not. Same with Jesus, like he awakened, and he felt bliss, and he felt oneness, and he felt like this one source that moves everything, and tried to explain it to people that haven't experienced that. So obviously it's going to be there's going to be a layer of ego then moving the concept of what that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And also looking at Jesus as that, like, oh, if he's reached this state of bliss, maybe if I follow him,
Exactly. It's something
that I will
outside of
also.
me. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
It's
right, right.
you're following someone else's spiritual path that is so personal of them, and that I think that's the cool thing about spirituality, though, is that it's very unique to you and to your experience and all of the thoughts that go through your mind. And um, I think for me, what religion didn't do was encourage me to hold myself. I don't know if this is, but I was gonna say hold myself accountable in a way where I'm seeing myself, and like he said, at some point, like if you write whatever's in your mind right now, you're gonna be pretty shocked at what you're writing. And I think that part of what I didn't really get with religion was, well, the meditation part, in that seeing yourself like just raw for who you are and admitting that to yourself first. I think that's, at least for me, that was like the biggest step, because it's like once I'm like, whatever, oh yeah, I'm jealous of this person, or I am mad I don't know, let's just say jealous. I'm jealous of this person. That admitting that to myself was like a huge step. Because then it was almost like in your mind it becomes real, because your mind has been living in some sort of reality that's not really reality. So is that part, is the part that I didn't really feel with religion, that I do with meditation. um and ultimately that's kind of it is the path also to awareness, to like really seeing yourself like um almost like as a third person, as if you're seeing a friend.